Right, stitch 2 of the hive crochet along autumn 2017. So this next one is to go in between different bands if you wish to use it. I quite like it. It's called a honeycomb or a bubble stitch. They're quite close together in this one. And again, it looks more complicated than it is. So I've done a row of 30 stitches first of all in half double crochet just to base it, and then I'll rip back 3 of these bubbles just to show you how they're made. You can see how I can put them together. So I'll just put my hook in there. Stop her running away with themselves. So for this, what you do is 2 single crochets and then make your bubble into the third. So all the way along here I have 30 stitches and then I have 10 bubbles. So I started with a turning chain of 1 crochet, and then I did a single crochet into that first stitch and then start with a bubble in the next stitch. And then after that you do repeating pattern of 2 single crochet like that, and then make the bubble into the next stitch. So how you make the bubble is by doing 5 double crochets into the same stitch space and join them all together at the end. So as with any double crochet, yarn over hook and into the hole, pull through, and then just pull through once, so you're left with 2 loops on your hook. Then you do that again 4 more times, so until you get 6 loops on your hook. So this is slightly splitty yarn, so I'm just going quite slowly with it. So there I've got 5, so 1 more. And then I've got 6 loops on my hook, and I pick up the yarn and pull it through all 6 at once. And that's made my bubble for me, but what makes it stick out is by doing the single crochet into the next stitch. So do that, and then you can see that it sticks out nicely at the back. Then you do another single crochet, so you've got 2 in between each bubble, and then another bubble. So yarn over, insert your hook and pull a loop through the first 2, then do that again 4 more times until you get 6 loops on your hook. So nearly there, I've got 5, and then 6 loops, pull it on through. Okay, and then 2 more double crochet here, and then another bubble here. You can see that I've only got 2 stitches left. I've worked this blanket on the basis of multiples of 3 with an even number of stitches, so all of mine are worked on a baseline of 30. So here I've started with a single crochet at the beginning and a single crochet at the end, so that the bubbles stay fairly close to the end of the pattern. It doesn't really matter if you get it a little bit wrong and you add in a bubble in slightly the wrong place, nobody's ever going to notice. And if you want to work up a number of rows of this, then you can do. You just want to put the bubbles not entirely on top of each other. You need to work it out so that they're in between each other in the next row. So you would do another row of double crochet and then put it in the next row. I can't absolutely recommend doing an entire blanket in this because it's quite heavy on wool and not terribly interesting to do. So here you can see I've got to the end of my row. I've just got 1 more stitch and I do a double crochet into that, and that finishes my row. And there I've got 10 of the bubbles in a row. To work the next row into that can be a little bit tricky at times if you're not sure where you're working into. So for the purposes of this blanket, I'm probably going to do a half double crochet into the next along the next row. So I do 2 turning chains, and then I'll work into each of the V stitches along the top. You can see there, so each of those. So the one on top of the bubble is slightly bigger than the other ones, but you still want to work a single stitch into that. So I'll show you that. So into the first stitch, because that's the way I always do it, and pull it through all 3, and then I'm working into the top of the bubble. So here I'm just picking up those top V stitches. If you look at it from behind, I'll show you in a moment, it makes it easier to see where those are. Sorry, I've just done a double. So if you look at it from the other side, you can see that the bobble itself has just pushed the top of your stitch back, but the next row will pull it back round again. And so I'm going to be working a row of half doubles all the way across into every stitch, making sure I pick up all of them. And as with any of a change of stitch, count your stitches at the end to make sure you have the same number. And so that's what it should look like all the way across towards the end. And that's it.